buzzbait bass. Good time in the morning for it too. Oh, he ain't a giant, but he's a fish. Oh yeah, look at there. June fishing, Rainbow Lake, nice looking fish. Buzz baiting with our persuader. Look at the little quad blade inside the big metal blade. Here's the deal with this bait that I love though, is the fact that it's a quiet bait. It's not a real noisy bait. So fish that are really spooked and get hammered a lot, especially on our lakes up here, a little quieter buzz bait, they like that. So I'm excited to be able to get out here and actually do a little topwater. The weeds have grown almost all the way to the surface. We'll be able to show you when the light level comes up a little bit more. But this lake can be a lot of fun. We might be able to get us a few nice fish. We'll see. I'm throwing it up in the reeds. This lake offers so much. I just want to see if we can catch a couple of decent fish off some topwater this morning. And I'll tell you something I love about this lake is we're in June and it's almost jacket weather. I'm telling you. I'm throwing a 65-pound test braid line on my rod here. Yeah. The whole ticket to this bait for me is just to throw it out there, not reel it too fast, just keep the blades turning. You really don't hear all that clack, clack, clack. You hear more of a whoosh on this. But it does attract them. We're in clear water, but you'll see a lot of docks today and we might have to flip a few, we'll see. It all looks really good too. And I'll tell you what, this time of year, now's the time of the year to get out and do a little topwater fishing. And the reason why is because they start getting really aggressive. The water temperature's up to around 67, 70 degrees, first thing in the morning. And the other thing is when you have low light, like we have right now, early in the morning, low light, that's when they'll come out beyond these reeds and these pads and things like that, the weed pads and stuff, and they'll do a little feeding and they're not so spooked. As soon as the sun comes up, then they'll start getting up underneath all the weeds and the docks, and that's when you go dock hunting, you know. Got him. He's not a big one, but how did that little fish get up there and nail that bait like that? He's not even 10 inches. He's about as big as the bait. We had a big one come up and swirl on the bait, but didn't get him. You just cover a lot of water first thing in the morning, and that's what I like to do, is just go down the bank, cover a lot of water, take something that you think you can get bit on, and buzzbait's one of those things that you can just go down and just cover a lot of water. Make a circle around the lake, whatever, before the sun comes up real good, and hopefully get bit by the monster bass. Like that right there. Oh, there we go. That's what we're talking about, son. Oh, he's still not a giant, but he's a fun fish. That's what's fun about coming to Rainbow. He's a little bit bigger than that last one, though. That'd be a little tournament keeper. That little buzzbait is a lot of fun to throw, let me tell you. This is a great bait to throw braid with because, you know, if you've got the right rod, I'm using a Taipan Elite Series rod for this, and it's my buzzbait rod. And I'll tell you what, man, it loads up real nice, gives you a chance to get a good hook set. But let me tell you something, when you first see that explosion on top of the water, it's very important just to give it just a slight second before you set the hook. It's hard to do because you see the blast, you want to set the hook right away, but you'll lose a lot of fish doing that unless you give them a chance to turn with it a little bit. One thing I love about this rod is it gives it that chance to do that. That Persuader buzzbait's a good bait, and I love the noise it makes. Sometimes it'll get a little marsh inside that blade right there, and you got to make sure that that middle blade is turning, because that's the ticket to getting them to come up after it, making sure everything's working right. Oh, there's a good fish right there, son. That's a good fish. Oh yeah. That's the kind of fish we're looking for. Little buzzbait bass, look at that. Oh yeah. Come on, baby. Open your mouth. Yeah, look at there. Beautiful fish right there. He exploded on it, folks. Beautiful bass, man. They're footballs, look at that. Rainbow Lake bass. Covered in water. See you, buddy. That ferocious strike you get is so hard not to automatically, when you see the fish, I saw the fish darting over towards it. I'm like, oh, your anticipation of waiting sometimes can cost you a fish if you set the hook too fast. I was a little worried about that one, but we got him. That is so much fun. It's amazing how a bait that doesn't make a whole lot of noise, like this Persuader buzzbait here, and it glides through the water really nice. You can see how it's got the flat head on it. So it comes through the weeds and everything really nice. It'll come through the pads, and you know, we have a lot of weeds that are just barely under the surface. I mean, you got about that much far and that's it. So you got to start that buzzbait pretty fast. That was fun. One thing I will tell you about the beautiful White Mountains is the buzzbait works. And what I love about this lake is it's a shallow lake. You're going to have a lot of weeds, but man, these fish, so much fun. I was going to make one more cast and turn around. I'm glad I made that one more cast. You know, we're in an area where the spawn's just about over here too. So you're working two kinds of fish. There's a few, you know, late bloomers and stuff that, like I said, spawn usually goes through June. Up here in the White Mountains, you'll see some leftover fish that are still spawning. But the majority of them have, you know, probably watching fry, and of course, you know, are out doing their summer. You can go to the summer techniques now, which is a lot of fun. And I can tell you this much about this lake: you don't have to worry about fishing deep. There is no deep water. And that's one of the reasons you use braid, is when they get in those weeds, you want to get them out. You know, one thing important to remember about throwing a buzzbait, well, there's a couple of things that you need right off the bat. I'm going to tell you right now, you need a fast retrieve gear ratio reel. I use the Johnny Moore Signature Series reel. Fast retrieve, anything 6:3 to 1, something up there in the 6s, the 7s is great as far as gear ratio goes. The other thing is, when you're fishing a lake like this and you've got a lot of weeds that are barely submerged underneath the water, you want to make sure when you throw out there that you start the retrieve right there. Watch where it falls. Don't let it fall and then have to pull it up out of the water, because what ends up happening is you end up getting a bunch of weeds on your bait and it won't come in right. So it's very important to start your retrieve. As soon as you think it's going to land, like right there, boom, I'm in, and I've raised my rod tip up. Now, to throw this right, you need to start with your rod tip up, like I have here, and then you just start lowering your rod tip as you bring the bait back to you, okay? That's real important. So I'll throw it out there. My rod tip will be all the way up at 12 o'clock to keep the bait up as I'm reeling. I'm going to reel as slow as I can to keep the bait on top of the water. Then I'm going to start lowering my rod tip as the bait starts coming towards me. And there you have it. You'll have that bait about the same all the way through the retrieve. So those are a few things really to remember when you're doing this kind of fishing with a buzzbait. Buzzbaits are a lot of fun, but remember, they don't float. So you need to keep that bait on top of the water. And my whole plan is, when I throw it out there, I'm going to try to get away with the slowest retrieve I can to keep it on top of the water. There's times a fast retrieve really works good, but a lot of times my slow retrieve works real good, and I'll just bring it towards me and lower the rod tip, and there you have it. But when you're fishing weeds like this, like we have in this lake, you don't have time to let that bait sink once you cast and then engage the reel. You just don't. Because if you do that, you're going to come up with a bunch of weeds. So the one thing, and you don't want to be clicking this thing into gear as it's spinning out either. So you got to plan it to where when you thumb it down, as soon as it hits, boom, okay, you knew it hit, boom, right there. I'm engaged and ready to go. Ooh. Oh, there he is. He got it right there. He came back for it. I kept it coming and he came back for it. He's not a giant fish, but that's funny. That's what I would consider a little male, probably a little fry garter. There you go. Just a little fry garter over there. but he came back after it. And that's one thing real important about a buzzbait too, is that if they start blowing up on it and they don't quite get it, just keep it coming, keep it coming. They'll come after it. They'll come after it and get it. Sometimes they'll try to get it. That one popped it out of the water the first time. You know, one of the reasons we're catching a lot of the littler fish right now too up shallow is, you know, there's a lot of fry garters right now. Those fry garters, you know, are the male fish that are watching those little fry. So that's one of the reasons we're catching a lot of the little ones right now. There's one right there on the end of those rocks, another little bass, little rainbow lake bass. There's a lot of these little guys in there, let me tell you. You know, another thing really important about my buzzbait fishing, ooh, I just got slapped right there. Now see, I pulled it too quick, but one of the things I really like is black, chartreuse, or chartreuse and white for my buzzbaits. Always have on these lakes, probably will never change. Those are the three basic colors that are my favorite. Remember, it's black, chartreuse, and then I'll use a white with chartreuse in it. Those three colors are really good on this lake and on these waters up here. And I normally just stick with those colors. I don't change too much in color variation. The only difference I might throw is maybe a colored blade. Black blades is on black buzzbaits is something I really like. So just a few little things, little pointers there might help you out when you bring your buzzbaits up here this time of year. And this buzzbait bite will be going on throughout the whole summer, through into the fall on all these lakes. So you'll have a lot of fun on it. Oh, got him, good fish. He came right up and got that. Get in here, big Moby. Look at that fish, folks. That's why you keep throwing that buzzbait around. Right there. He came off the rocks there. Came right up and slurped it in. That's why you want to throw it slow, you know, right there. Beautiful fish. And I'll throw that buzzbait now. I'll make a lap around the lake with this buzzbait and have some fun with it, you know, and you're gonna come to areas that aren't all that good, but you know, then you're gonna have some spots that are a lot of fun. And if you can parallel the bank a little bit, you'll have a better chance of catching some of these fish as well. If not, then, you know, hey, and I also got to throw out there, don't be afraid to throw the Ricos or the top water, the poppers, anything like that. That works well too, but I can cover a lot of water with this real fast, you know, and catch some fish before the water gets taken up by all the boaters. That's one of my big keys to fishing any of this kind of water here, is being able to cover some water before everybody takes it off. I like that fresh morning water when they've had a chance to settle down all night long. It's a lot of fun, especially come summertime. But this is a fun lake, and right now they've got a lot of grass carp in this lake, and those grass carp are kind of doing their job getting a lot of the grass out, but there's still a lot of weeds and stuff in this lake that kind of make it hard in certain areas because it is a shallow lake. It's going to constantly keep growing. So it's a lot of fun to fish with frogs. You can throw frogs right now too in certain areas. That particular fish just came up and slurped it in. He didn't blast it hard. He didn't hit it like a big fish. The smaller fish have been hitting it harder. Hey folks, for my tip of the week, one thing that's really important to remember too is this is a fun bait to throw when there's no wind. But if there's wind, one way you can help yourself a little bit is by putting a little grub trailer on there that's got a little wave to it. That grub trailer will really help create a lot of strikes in the wind. And if that doesn't work for you, then you're gonna have to go to a different blade, obviously. And Persuader makes the original blades too, the aluminum blades and stuff like that. So you can go to those, they're a little bit louder. But first I would try the grub, because in this lake, on these lakes here, highly pressured, that little grub makes a difference when they're pressured and the wind starts kicking up. That's a good tip of the week for you right there. Got him. I knew he was around there somewhere. It's a good fish too. Look at that, he's taking drag, folks. He's taking drag on my Cinco. Come on. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. You thought for just a minute I didn't see you, didn't you? Get in here, Moby. Look at there. I just happened, that's what I love about this lake. It just so happens I happened to look down while I was buzzbaiting and seen that big old fish. That was awesome. You know, it's always good. See you, baby. It's always good. And I've said this in many of shows to have a 1-2 punch. And that 1-2 punch for me in this lake would be that little 4-inch Cinco. Of course, he took off with it. I got one here I can put in. But what happens is you're going down the bank in this clear water, when you're paralleling and you happen to look down and see these fish, a lot of times you can just make sure you go by them. You have to go by them and then turn around. And that's what I did. Made a few casts in there to find out exactly where he was, and he came up and ate that Cinco. And that was fun. I'm using a little 4-inch watermelon Cinco. It's one of my favorites up here with a 2/0 hook, wide gap hook. And it works perfect. It falls nice and slow and gets those fish going, let me tell you. There's a little bass right there. Little tiny guy. Let's get back to buzzbaiting. But it's really important to make sure that you have that little 1-2 punch. It's hard to rely on one bait the whole time. You can do it, but why pass by those kind of fish? I saw him, I turned around and we caught him. That was fun. And it was a good fish. That's the one thing beautiful about this lake, is it normally clears up pretty nice where you can see that kind of fish swimming around in these shallows all year long. Well, we've had a good time on the show today. Pick up some Persuader buzz baits. You'll have a lot of fun with these baits, and they even make the triple blade, which is really good too. We didn't have the opportunity to throw today, but it's an awesome bait to throw. We've caught some big fish on it. You'll catch some small fish on it. The cool thing about buzz baits is every day is a new venture. You don't know what size fish you're gonna catch, but man, when you catch some big ones on it, it's really a hoot. And I'll tell you what, if you've never done this kind of fishing before, you better start, because I'll tell you what, this will definitely get you excited. A lot of times you'll have some blow-ups right there at the boat just as you're getting ready to pull up. And I'll tell you what, if that don't get your blood pumping, nothing will. Thanks for joining us on the show. We'll see you next week. I'm Johnny Johnson. Now, see, that's what I'm talking about, folks.